Check out today's work of Otaku Daikun fan art. Holy crap! Quite a lovely Dai-chan. And wait, is that a summon ticket tucked away in there? That might come in handy if you're trying to pull today's servant. Thanks so much, Simorg. Charlemagne, the Christian king known for uniting much of Western and Central Europe during the Middle Ages, is accompanied by his 12 knights, or paladins. They earn fame rivaling that of the Knights of the Round Table for their participation in many epic adventures. Among the 12 paladins is a woman of both strength and beauty, Bradamante. She is born a princess through the union between Charlemagne's sister Aya and Duke Aimon of Clermont. Despite this title, she is a descendant of the Trojan hero Hector and is destined to be a warrior of equal caliber. Beyond her ancestry, Bradamante is also more closely related to a handful of Charlemagne's other paladins. Her brother, Rinaldo, serves as a paladin bearing the magic sword Fromberge, and her cousins Roland and Astolfo also earn great renown for their service. This is not to say by any means that Bradamante's blood ties guarantee her a spot among Charlemagne's company. To the contrary, she earns her status for her mental and physical resolve, known far and wide as the Knight of the White Plume. She has a benevolent heart that fuels her sense of justice, which she enforces as an untainted shield maiden. She is a masterful warrior who takes to the battlefield armed with both a shield and one-handed spear. Rather than staking her life solely on her spear, she employs a well-rounded approach that balances both offense and defense. That said, her most noteworthy weapon is not one she earns on her own. Instead, her cousin Astolfo, known for his lack of sense, naively enters a jousting tournament against Argalia, a man said to never lose. Sure enough, Astolfo is felled rather easily, but he continues to watch as Argalia encounters another fallen competitor who resorts to fighting with the sword. Unable to win, Argalia flees the arena, leaving behind his treasured spear, and in the chaos, Astolfo claims it is his own. Little does he know, this shining golden weapon, the Trap of Argalia, is capable of bringing any and all opponents to their knees. As a result, Astolfo goes on to win many jousting contests with ease, and the lance even saves his life on adventures. Chalking his victories up to good fortune, he gifts the lance to Bradamante, unaware of its true value. The lives of these paladins continue to garner whimsy, quelled in no way by the assistance of Merlin, the eccentric incubus who once served the Pendragon lineage in Britain. Bradamante in particular is most involved during the 8th century war between Charlemagne and Africa's Saracen king, Agramante. In this war, the Saracens, joined by Marsilio, the king of Spain, push Charlemagne's army back and besiege it in Paris. With the tides turned, Bradamante takes the rear guard, facing off against one of Agramante's boastful commanders, King Rhodomont of Algiers. From on far, their duel is seen as magnificent by an onlooker, Rogero, another of the Saracen forces. Despite being an enemy to Charlemagne, he is righteous and decides to inform Bradamante that her army is being routed. Bradamante wishes to rejoin her forces, but Rhodomont denies her passage. Angered by Rhodomont's discourtesy, Rogero decides to take her place in the duel so that she can aid her king. Bradamante departs, but fails in her attempt to regroup, and decides to return to Rogero to repay his kindness. When she arrives, however, Rogero has more or less won the bout, and her presence is enough to cause Rhodomont to put aside his ego and retreat. Rogero accompanies Bradamante back to her army, and their ensuing discussion reveals that he too is a descendant of Hector. All this time, Rogero mistook Bradamante for a man, but learns the truth when she removes her helmet for him. The two return to their respective forces, but do so with a kindled romance between them. Hoping to marry this man, Bradamante wishes for Rogero to convert from Islam to Christianity, a sentiment which sparks an entirely new conflict. Rogero's foster father, a wizard named Atlante, is highly protective of him. Before joining the Saracens in battle, Rogero was kept sheltered in an invisible castle atop Mount Carena in Africa, and he was only recruited through the princess, Angelica, but was stolen so that Agramante could see the castle and convince him. Atlante captures Rogero and holds him captive in the castle once more. He, who is never made aware of the prophecy, hopes to be rescued, and Bradamante, unwilling to abandon her love, begins to search for him. Along her journey, she meets Pinabello, a fellow vassal of Charlemagne. He tells her that Rogero was captured by a wizard riding atop a hippogriff. This wizard, Atlante, would blind intruders with his shield. Choosing to leave the battlefield and find her lover, Bradamante rides on with Pinabello towards the castle. Sadly, Pinabello is a traitor and tricks her into entering a mysterious cave. He drops her into the cave and leaves her for dead, failing to confirm that she actually manages to survive the fall. Upon recovering, Bradamante proceeds further into the cave and encounters Melissa, a benevolent sorceress allied with Merlin. Hearing of Rogero's capture, Melissa agrees to help Bradamante by procuring for her Angelica's magical ring. It allows Bradamante to not only see the castle, but also ward off Atlante's spells and overpower him. She claims the shield, known as Bouclier de Atlante, gives it to Rogero, and has him escape the castle on the wizard's hippogriff. Bradamante makes the unfortunate mistake of sparing her foe, and due to Atlante's influence, the hippogriff carries Rogero away to an enchanted island, once again separating the lovers. This island is ruled over by an enchantress known as Alcina, known for kidnapping men to serve as her lovers until she tires of them. While not ideal, Atlante considers this worthwhile if it keeps Rogero away from Bradamante. Of course, she refuses to give up Alcina's predatory sorcery. He learns of this danger when he encounters Bradamante's cousin, Astolfo, who has been transformed into a myrtle tree by Alcina. Rogero aims to avoid Alcina's golden city, hoping to find her sister Logistia, but is brought closer to his enemy during a fight against the island's monsters. He falls for Alcina's enchantment, seduced by magecraft. Coming to his rescue is not Bradamante, who is still searching for him, but the mage Melissa. She once again obtains the magic ring and bestows it on Rogero, breaking the spell and even turning Astolfo back into a human. Free from influence, Rogero makes it to Logistia's castle and has an accessory made so that he can actually control the hippogriff. With it, he flies away from the island and sees Angelica, the foreign princess, chained to a rock at sea under attack from an aquatic orc. With the power of the ring and his shield, Rogero is able to incapacitate the orc and carry Angelica to safety. She keeps the magic ring and flies away on the hippogriff, leaving Rogero to continue searching for Bradamante. Returning to where he last saw her, however, he once again finds himself held captive by Atlante in his castle. The sorceress Melissa informs Bradamante of her lover's capture and urges her to kill Atlante this time. Bradamante aims to do just that, but on the way to Atlante's castle, she is tricked by a false image of Rogero on the verge of being crushed by giants. She tries to rescue him, falling into Atlante's trap, and is also held captive in the castle. To add to Atlante's collection of captives, Astolfo too is taken prisoner. This, however, turns out to be a bad decision, for Astolfo has in his possession La Black Luna, a horn with a sound so explosive it strikes fear into the hearts of those who hear it. With a loud blow of the hunting horn, Astolfo succeeds in chasing Atlante from his own castle, freeing its captives. Bradamante and Rogero, united at last, vow to marry as soon as Rogero is baptized. Before this can happen, however, the lovers take a shortcut back, where they encounter the treacherous Pinabello, who left Bradamante to die. Pinabello sends his companions to attack Rogero, while Bradamante gives chase to the traitor. By relying on the shield, Rogero emerges victorious, but finds shame in his dependence, choosing to abandon the shield in a deep well. Meanwhile, Bradamante catches Pinabello and kills him for his treachery. This comes at the cost of being separated again. Rogero is called back to the battlefield by Agramante, and in a bout against another of his fellow warriors, he is tragically wounded. While recovering from the wound, rumors begin to spread that Rogero has married Marfisa, a woman who also fights for the Saracen army. These rumors make Bradamante anxious, and so she rides off to find the truth for herself. Along the way, she encounters foes who challenge her to jousts. With the trap of Argalia in tow, however, she makes quick work of them. At Arles, Bradamante tries to bring out Rogero by dueling his guards. Just as Rogero is about to come out and face her, Marfisa steps up to the challenge. Marfisa is immediately thrown from her steed, but continues the duel with her sword. Bradamante fights back until the duel is interrupted by an enemy invasion. Taking advantage of the conflict, she rushes past Marfisa and charges Rogero with her lance. She halts her assault and instead chooses to communicate with him. Their fighting is resolved when it becomes clear that Rogero and Marfisa are in fact twin siblings, not lovers. Bradamante and Rogero's faith are rekindled, and together they take on another quest to dethrone a misogynist ruler who exiled his women. In penance, this ruler is strung up naked to be tormented by passers-by. Even so, it is time for the lovers to return to their respective armies. Rogero returns to the Saracens, and Bradamante returns to Charlemagne along with Marfisa, who was chosen to convert to Christianity and fight for him. Ultimately, Agramante requests that he and Charlemagne settle their war with a one-on-one fight, nominating Rogero for his side. Charlemagne accepts, choosing Bradamante's brother Rinaldo as his representative. Sadly, Rogero knows he cannot defeat Rinaldo, and before their battle, the two of them make a vow. If one of their leaders decides to call off the fight, they will join forces with the opposing leader. Even so, Rogero falls victim to Rinaldo's ferocious attacks, nearly losing the bout. Before that can happen, however, the sorceress Melissa disguises herself as the Saracen commander Rodamond and convinces Agramante to advance his army. Not only is this a poor strategic call, resulting in his army's defeat at the hands of Bradamante and Marfisa, it also means that he called off the duel, dictating that Rogero finally join Charlemagne's forces. Shortly after, however, Rogero is caught up in a storm and meets a hermit who carries out his baptism. Upon being rescued, Charlemagne's knights accept Rogero as Bradamante's fiancé. The lovers' betrothal is acknowledged by all except, ironically, Bradamante's own parents, who have already set her up to marry Prince Leon, the son of Emperor Constantine of Greece. Bradamante is left speechless until she turns to her king Charlemagne and asks him for a boon that her parents cannot disobey. A condition is set that no man shall marry Bradamante unless they can best her in combat, giving her the chance to fight for her own hand. Before this fight can ensue, Rogero takes command of the struggling Bulgar army and leads them to victory against Constantine. Despite this victory, Rogero is captured by the Greeks and held prisoner in the Emperor's dungeon. Leon, however, is impressed by Rogero's skill in combat, and not knowing who he actually is, wants him to serve as a substitute in the fight against Bradamante. In exchange for freedom, Rogero complies, not telling Leon of his own love for her. This means that Rogero must face his lover in combat, disguised as Leon, unable to use his own armor or weapons. He fears harming her in the battle, but has no choice but to give it his all, as Bradamante does not recognize him and goes for the kill. Despite this, Rogero maintains his defensive position, successfully repelling Bradamante and convincing the fight's judges that he is won. Tragically, he has just secured her marriage to another man. Devastated, Rogero leaves Paris and goes to the woods to starve himself to death. Marfisa steps up in his defense and falsifies that Rogero and Bradamante are already married, insinuating that Leon must kill him first. Leon agrees, intending to make use of his stand-in, and sets out to find the man who fought for him. When the two meet up in the forest, Leon learns that Leon explains the situation to Charlemagne, and since Rogero has already bested Bradamante in combat, his marriage is accepted by all. Charlemagne prepares the wedding as if Bradamante were his own daughter, celebrating for 9 consecutive days. On the final day, however, Rodamond, the Saracen commander Rogero fought way back when first meeting Bradamante, interrupts the banquet, declaring Rogero a traitor. The two men fight fist to fist among the crowd, but Rogero gains the upper hand and hurls Rodamond to the ground. Raising a dagger, Rogero ends the conflict, plunging his weapon straight into Rodamond's head, sending his foe straight to the grave. The marriage between Rogero and Bradamante brings about the noble house of Este, whose descendants go on to write of this legend. The ill fate Profius. Even so, Bradamante's legend is dominated by her persistent pursuit of love, never giving up no matter how many times fate pulls her away from Rogero. As a result, when this splendid knight is recorded into the Throne of Heroes, her separation from him becomes an inevitable part of her existence. Thus, while she seeks to reunite with Rogero as a servant, she can never attain the same happy ending she forged in life. Rogero remains her hope, and that hope is her strength. Naturally, this wish of hers allows her to be summoned by the Holy Grail, and such an occurrence takes place during a singularity in December. In the modern era, the Chaldea Security Organization fights to restore humanity to its proper human history. Come time for Christmas, however, a singularity emerges, resulting in an alternate Mexico engrossed in snowfall. Quetzalcoatl, one of the servants of Chaldea's master Ritsuka Fujimaru, takes to becoming Santa Claus, and the change to her Saint Graph causes her to split into 2 parts. Under the guidance of her other half, the mysterious Black Quetzal Mask, the Mexican villagers prepare for Christmas by holding a Holy Grail war to decide the true Santa. This war is a tag team tournament themed around lucha libre wrestling. To resolve the singularity, Quetzalcoatl must win the tournament, defeating her darker self, but cannot even enter without a partner. Luckily, the Christmas Holy Grail also summons Bradamante, and she seeks the Grail in hopes of finding Rogero. Ritsuka encounters Bradamante on the verge of collapsing from starvation. They take her in and give her food. Certainly, Bradamante acknowledges Ritsuka's kindness, but more importantly, she senses their bond with Merlin. It goes without saying that Bradamante distastes Magi, having fallen victim to their many ploys in life. But Merlin, who counseled her vicariously through Melissa, is an exception. As such, she is more than happy to help a friend of Merlin's, and conveniently, she needs to win the tournament to reach the Grail anyway. Thus, Quetzalcoatl and Bradamante team up to form the Quetzal Sisters, working together to defeat the competition. In battle, Bradamante fights with her lance and shield. As a servant, her shield is none other than the noble phantasm Bouclier de Atlante. Dazzlingly beautiful is the glint of the magic shield, the one she gave to Rogero. Its intense light stuns and damages her foes. This disorientation is followed up by a charging strike. Her second noble phantasm is Angelica Cathay. Resplendent is my ring of royalty, the magical ring she used in life to cancel out magecraft and render her invisible. As a Lancer-class servant, she uses the ring to amplify the magical power of her spear. She and Quetzalcoatl are trained to the bone by Saint Martha, and throughout their bouts, Bradamante encounters Astolfo, allowing her to reunite with the Hippogriff to the final fight of the tournament. Their opponent, Black Quetzal Mask, has teamed up with a shadowy warrior taken directly from the Christmas Grail, a dark Santa Claus of sorts. Beaten into a corner during their fight, Bradamante is given the chance to surrender in exchange for having her wish granted. While tempting, she declines the opportunity, vowing to achieve her goals with her own strength. She reasons that declaring defeat would shame both her partner and the work they've put in thus far. Inspired by her words, Quetzalcoatl and the other Santa servants all share their power with Bradamante, ascending her as a Santa capable of defeating Black Quetzal Mask's partner. With the weight of Santa's boots, Bradamante kicks her opponent, and with a loud "Merry Christmas," she claims the victory with a body slam. In the aftermath, Quetzalcoatl is made whole again, and Bradamante vanishes to return to her search for Rogero. Ironically, however, it appears that Rogero was present during the entire event as a competitor representing Africa, and the two just never crossed paths. It is her fate, after all, that she will continue to march forward with hope and determination, using her virtue as a paladin of Charlemagne to protect the human order. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and, most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of my anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content. If you want to support me directly, there are now 3 ways that all provide the same benefits. You can click Join here on YouTube, or join Patreon or Subscribestar for access to exclusive vids and early access. As always, celebrate your fandom.